In the previous session, we discussed about Swarupa Grahana. In this session, we shall discuss about Savarna Grahanam. The sutra which gives the Savarna Sangna is Tulyasya Prayatnam Savarnam, as we saw before. If the mouth-based Ucharana Sthana for different letters is same, then they are called as Savarna to each other. Today we are going to discuss Savarna Grahanam. There are two sutras. Actually, the first one is the main sutra. Anudit Savarnasya cha pratyayah taparastatkalasya is the second sutra. Consider the first sutra. Anudit Savarnasya cha pratyayah an udit Savarnasya cha apratyayah is the padacheda. Anvayah apratyayah an udit cha Savarnasya. Apratyayah means which is dictated or which is mandated, which is not mandated or which is not given as a substitute in adesha. If it is not an adesha is the meaning. If it is not an adesha, then an letters and udit letters, they represent savarnasya. They represent their savarna. We shall understand in detail. Before that, an means all these letters a, I, U, Ru, Lu, E, O, I, Au, Ha, Ya, Vara, La, Ayavarat, Lan. There, that nakara is there now. That nakara is considered here. I, Un, Ru, Lu, Ke, Om, Gayauch, Ayavarat, Lan. And means all these swaras and Ha, Ya, Vara, La. These 5 consonants. Udit means Ut, It means that pratyara or that upadesha which has ukara, rasva ukara as it letter, that is called as udit. They represent their savarna if they are not given as adesha is the meaning. Consider a from these un letters. As we already studied, akara has 18 savarnas. Akara in the Maheshwara Sutra has 18 savarna. So whenever we say in a sutra in Ashtadhyayi, that akara represents all its 18 types. It is not just rasvakara. It represents dirgha also, it represents pluta also, it represents swarita, udatta, anudatta, all different permutations are there now. That akara represents all its form, different savarna, unless it is given as an adesha. For example, if a will be replaced by a is the sutra, then a is given as adesha there. A is the adesha for a. Then a does not represent its savarna. That is the one exception. It should not be an adesha. Otherwise, it represents all its savarna in a sutra. Consider this sutra. Yenga padantadati 61109. Yengaha panchami ekavachana. Padantat panchami ekavachana. Ati saptami ekavachana. Anurutti purvaha pratama. Ami purvaha 61107. This sutra, the current sutra is 109. There in 107, that purvaha is there, which we consider as anurutti for this sutra. So the complete sutra becomes Yeng padantat yengaha ati purvaha. And this is the anurutti from the previous sutra. So padantad yengaha ati purvaha. If we represent it in an equation, yeng padantat qualifies saying, it means that yeng letter should be at the end of a pada. That is one condition. And if it is followed by akara, rasva akara, then both will be replaced by purvaha. Purva means this this is called as para. This one purva, this one's para. The first is called as purva, second is called as para. Both will be replaced by the first letter, means a plus a becomes a only, o plus a becomes o only. Yang means, as we already know, a o, a ong, a and o. If any one of these two is followed by raswakara, then both will be replaced by purvaha. Purva means if a is there, a plus a becomes a, o plus a becomes o. So a plus o plus a plus a is equal to a, o plus a is equal to o. This is the meaning. Here savarna grahanam. Here yang, consider a. In yang, a is not an adesha, it is tani. Adesha is a here. The a which comes here, it is adesha, but here a is not adesha, it is tani. Now a represents all its savarna. It means it is not just dirgha a which can be a sthani here. It doesn't mean so. It can be pluta a also. If it is pluta a followed by rasvakara, then also this sutra works for that combination. If it is udatta a followed by rasvakara, then also this sutra is applicable. If it is anudatta plus a, then also applicable. If it is anunasika a followed by rasvakara, then also this sutra is applicable. So the meaning is unletters, un, a is an unletter. It is there in un pratyara. Unletters, they represents all their savarna is the meaning of this sutra. That sutra, which one? Anudit savarnasya cha pratyayah. So it is not just a. Similarly for o also. O means it can be dirgha o, it can be pluta o, it can be anudatta dirgha anunasikaha. All 12 different combinations are there, no? O carries, O brings all its savarnas. O represents all its savarnas is the meaning of anudit savarnasya cha pratyayah. If we consider one more sutra, akas savarne dirghaha, akaha savarne dirghaha. If we represent that in the form of an equation, ak plus savarna is equal to dirgha. So if ak letters are followed by savarna, then both are replaced by dirgha is the meaning. Consider which are the ak letters: a, e, u, ru, lu. These 5 are ak letters. Consider akara from ak. One of its savarna is pluta. It can be dirgha, it can be anunasika, udatta, all possible different combinations is possible. It can be swarita, it can be anudatta, anunasika. And here in the first place, ak, I have considered akara from ak. Now this akara represents all its 18 types. It means here we can have rasva akara, rasva dirgha akara, anudatta akara, anunasika akara, ananunasika akara. All 18 types of akara is represented by this akara only. And here also savarna means all its 18 types. So all 18 into 18, 324 different permutations is allowed. For all 324 permutations, this sutra is applicable. Dirghaha is the substitute is the adesha. So these two will be replaced by dirgha. You see savarna, but you consider pluta a plus e. Here ak from ak I had considered a represent pluta also, but savarna of a is not e. So this sutra is not applicable for this case since e is not a savarna to a. Similarly, u is also not a savarna to a. Ru is also not savarna. So this sutra is not applicable for all these cases. So this is the summary. A plus a both replaced by a. Similarly, e, u plus u, ru plus ru. Here again I am telling a represents all its 18 types. Here savarna of this letter should be there. Savarna means all its 18 types again. Totally 324 different combination for a only. Again for this 324, for this 324, like that. Okay, that's about anna letters. Anna letters. Then anudit savarnasya cha pratyayah is the sutra. Udit, the second part is udit. Ukaraha yasmin it asti tat udit iti uchyate. Consider this sutra. Chokuhu. Choho. It is the shashti of chu, the word chu. Kuhu is the pratama of the word ku, as guruhu in pratama ekavachana, like that kuhu. Here the chu in chu or in ku, ukara is anunasika. I have not represented with Chandra Bindu here, but it is anunasika. So it is an it letter by upadeshe junanasika hitto. So it is an it letter. So since it has it letter u, ukara as it letter, it is called as udit. Udit means ukara it. Yasmin ukaraha it asti. Tat udit. So chakare, here chakara, if we delete that it letter, then only chakara remains. The sutra tells anudit savarnasya cha pratyayah. Udit represents all its savarna. It means the letter which has ukara as hit represents all its savarna. Which is the letter which has ukara as hit? Here the chakara as ukara as hit. Chakara has ukara as an it letter. So now chakara represents all its savarna. As we studied in the previous classes, the savarna for chakara are cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, these 5. So whenever the in a sutra a letter is presented with ukara as in it, then that letter represents all its savarna. It means in this sutra chokuhu, the word chakara represents all these 5. So and this ku, here in ku ukara is it, so ka represents ka ga ga nya, all its savarna. So the meaning of the sutra, chokuhu, cha will be replaced by ka, but it is not only cha will be replaced by ka, it is cha will be replaced by ka, cha will be replaced by kha, ja by gha, jha by kha, nya by nga, is the meaning of that sutra, which is understood by this paribhasha sutra, anudit savarnasya cha pratyayah. If a letter comes with ukaraya sit, if a letter is a udit, then it represents all its savarnas. We have already used this concept in different sutras before. We know already. Ku means kavarga, chu means chavarga, tu means tavarga, 、 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 means tavarga, that is given by this sutra. Anudit savarnasya cha pratyayah. Example for this sutra is vaj plus ta. Ta is a krut pratyaya. Krut pratyaya. Kakara is it by lashakvataditya. So that gets deleted by tasya lopaha. Ta. This sutra tells whenever chavarga is followed by jhel letter, then that chavargiya letter will be replaced by kavargiya letter. So this jakara first becomes gakara. Gakara, I have not shown here. Gakara. Then one more sutra is there. When this this kar letter is there in front, that gel letter will be replaced by char letter. You don't worry about this. The sutra where it is applicable, the portion where this sutra is applicable is jakara get converted to gakara. That only I have not shown here. I thought it is bach chakara. I replaced it with gakara. It is jakara. It has to be replaced by gakara first. Then gakara gets converted to gakara by some other sutra. Kharicha is the sutra, I think. Then it becomes bhakta. And Navibhaktau Tusmaha. This sutra we have already discussed. In this sutra, Navibhaktau Tusmaha. The word tu is used here. This is in this sutra. In this tu, ukara is it letter. So that gets deleted and takara remains. Now that takara represents all its savarna. Means tu represents ta ta da da na tavargiya vyanjanani. Tu represents ta, tha, da, dha, na. This is about Anudit Savarnasya cha pratyayah. If you have any doubts, so you please let me know. An letter, all H and Hayavarala, these letters, and Udit. Udit means ku, chu, tu, tu, pu. These represent all their savarna unless they are given as adesha. If they are given as adesha, for example, Shadokasi is a sutra. Shadokasi. In that sutra, Shakara gets converted to Kakara. Is the meaning of that sutra. Shakara gets converted to Shakara is the meaning of that sutra. I will explain here. Shadow when Shakara is followed by Sakara. Then Sakara will be replaced by Kakara and Sakara remains as it is. Similarly, if it is Dakara also. This is the meaning of this sutra. Shado Kasi. This is the Shashti Dvivachana. Shadoho. Since there are two entities. Shadoho. In place of Shakara or Dakara. When it is followed, if they are followed by Sakara, then Ka is the Adesha for these. Sha will be replaced by Ka and Da will be replaced by again Ka. Now, here Ka is given as an Adesha. So it doesn't represent its Savarna, but it is not given as Ku here. Anyway, it is given as Ka only. If it had been given as Ku, then they don't give it as Ku. If it is only Ka, so this sutra is not appropriate sutra. Sometimes, suppose this sutra is not there in Ashtadhyayi, just consider there is a sutra like this. Shadoha a si. Sha gets replaced by a. Then this a is the adesha in place of sha. Then this a does not represents all its savarna. It means shakara cannot be replaced by dirgha a. Dirgha. Why? Because this a does not bring all its savarna since it is an adesha. If an is an adesha or udit is an adesha, then they don't represent their savarna. Otherwise, they represent all their savarna. That is the meaning. Is this clear? If you have any doubts, please let me. Okay. The next sutra is taparas tatkalasya. Taparas tatkalasya. Taparaha tatkalasya. If a letter is taparaha, then that represents tatkalasya, means the letter which is pronounced using that much of time. It means before that taparaha means takaraha yasmat paraha saha atava takarat paraha yaha saha. It means if a letter is followed by takara or if it is preceded by takara. If takara is there before the letter or after the letter, then it is called as taparaha. Takaraha yasmat paraha. For example, at, it, ut, rut, yet, like this. Takara is present after the letters. At, takaraha, akarat paraha asti. Ataha, it is called as akara. Here, akara is called as taparaha. Ikara is called as taparaha. So, these represent tatkalasya. Tatkalasya means those savarna which require the time as required by this letter. Here akara is rasva, so this rasva requires one matra kala. So which are the letters among 18 types which require one matra time? They are rasva udattaha अनुनासिकः रस्व उदात्तः अननुनासिकः रस्व अनुदात्तः अननुनासिकः रस्व अनुदात्तः अनुनासिकः रस्व स्वरितः अनुनासिकः रस्व स्वरितः अननुनासिकः. It means out of 18, that represents only 6 because dirgha requires different time compared to this a. Similarly, pluta requires different time with respect to a. So at does not represent dirgha akara or rasva akara. Similarly, it means only rasva ikara, not it does not represents dirgha ikara or pluta ikara. Similarly, utturut yet they are also represent only those savarna of them which require same time for their pronunciation as that of these letters. Takarat paraha yaha saha. That takara can be before that letter also. For example, t plus ich. Here ich means a and I. Sorry, ich means I and O. Taich means only I and O. Only I and O means only dirgha I and only dirgha O. Taich does not represents pluta I, pluta O. Any of rasva I, rasva O are not there. Taich does not represents pluta I and pluta O. Again, consider the same sutra, Yenga Padanta Dati. We already discussed this sutra. Yenga Padanta Dati. Padanta Yengaha Ati Purvaha. Here, this word, consider this word Ati in the sutra. Yengaha Padantad Ati. Here, A and O when followed by Akara. If that Takara is not there, if tapaka, it is called as Taparakaranam. If Taparakaranam is not there, then A represents all its 18 types. But we want only Rasva Akara. We don't want Dirgha Akara here. We want only Rasva Akara here. So we have attached Takara after this At and Saptami of that is Ati. So Ati represents only Rasvakara. This is how only Rasvakara is considered in this sutra because of this Takara At. So A plus Rasvakara, O plus Rasvakara is the meaning. It doesn't, this Akara does not represent Dirgha and Pluta versions of Akara, Savarnas of Akara. Suppose if we just give the Saptami of Akara. Saptami of Akara is A. Yes, Rama becomes Rame, R becomes A. If the sutra had been given like Yengaha Padantad A, it means A O Yeng plus A, it becomes A O plus O. Then A would have represents all its 18 types, but we don't want that. We want only Rasvakara here. So that Takara is there and it is Ati. One more sutra, Ruta Iddatoho. Rutaha, Saptami, Ekavachana, Rut, It, Dhatoho. Here, Rut, Dirgaru, this one, it is not Rasva. Anyway, anyhow, Ru is not there in Maheshwara Sutra. So, Ru, if you just write Ru also, it represents Dirga only. It doesn't represents Rasva Rukara. If you just write Rasva Rukara, it represents all its types. So if you just write Dirga Ru, then it represents Dirga only. It doesn't represent all its Savarna. But still, that Taparakarana, that Takara is added here. The purpose is it is for ease of pronunciation. Ruta it Dhatoho. If we don't put Takara here, then we will get again the Saptami of Rutaha. Sorry, Shashti of Ruth is Rutaha. We can identify this is the Shashti of the word Ruth. Ruth means Dirgaru. If we just consider Dirgaru, Shashti of Ru, which is Dirga, and Shashti of Rasva, both will be same, Uhu. Then we can't understand whether it is the Shashti of Rasva Ukara or Shashti of Dirga Ukara. So it is not for ease of pronunciation, it is for the clarity that only Dirga Ru is to be considered, that Takara is added. It is not to represent Ru only. Anyway, Dirga Ru just by itself represents Dirga only. The Taparakarana is for the clarity, to make it clear that Ru is considered here. If just only Dirga Ru is considered here, the Shashti of that will be Uhu. The Shashti of Rasva Ru is also Uhu. So the Sutra tells Uhu Iddatoho, then we will get confused whether it is Shashti of Rasvavu or Dirgavu. For clarity, that Takara is used here. And It. So the meaning is Dhatoho, in a Dhatu. If there is Dirgaru in that Dhatu, that will be replaced by It, Ikara. Again, Taparakarana. This one is Taparakarana. So it is only E. ru, dirgha ru will be replaced by e is the meaning. So is tapara karana, is takara required here to say only rasva e will come here, not dirgha ru? It is not required here because even though even if we just tell e, it represent rasva e only because it is given as an adesha. E here is an adesha. It replaces ru, so e is an adesha. So it doesn't represent all its savarna. So e means e only. But again, that taparakarana is just for is a pronunciation here. Id dhatoho. So the meaning of the sutra is through here rukara is there. It will be replaced by e, and we know that urantraparaha means whenever and letters a, I, u they come as an adesha in place of ru, they always come with refa. It is not just e, it is ir, tir. Similarly, nru becomes nir. Ru will be replaced by e, that is ir. Similarly, pru will be pir. Nru will be nir, like that. Dhru will be tir, like that. Here in both Ruth and It, that Taparakarna is not for Tatkala representation. Here it is for clarity to differentiate Dirgaru from Rasvaru. Here is a pronunciation. So this sutra is given as an example to show that always Taparakarna need not used for Taparastatkalasya. Sometimes it used for is a pronunciation. Sometimes it can be used for clarity, like here. This is about taparas tatkalasya. The summary: Sutre adesha rupena na prayuktaha. If in a sutra, if it is not used as an adesha, anuvarnaha, ai urulu, evo ayauch ayavarala, tata च उदित वर्णः कु चु टु पु इति सवर्णानां ग्रहणं करोति. In a sutra, if one letters or udit letters are not used as an adesha, then they represents their savarna. Takarat parah varnah, tata cha takarah yasmat parah sah varnah. If takara is present before a letter or after a letter, then that letter ubau api स्वकालवाचकानां savarnanam eva nirdesham kurutah. Those two represents only those savarna of them which require the same as they require. Okay, this is all about savarna grahana. If you have any doubts, you can ask. धन्यवादः. गुरुरेव गतिर्गुरुमेव भजे गुरुणैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरोः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोः मतिरस्ति गुरौ मम पाहि गुरो. धन्यवादः.